I'm going to kind of start the process here, trying to talk to you about the way we live and how it may be different from the way you do. And we've been living here for 38 years, a little over that. And we've gotten simpler and in our needs and in how we go about our day to day. But we've tried to become as self-reliant as we can. Part of our design criteria for this experiment was to live by a few kind of credos or paradigms, and that being having voluntary simplicity, having appropriate technology, having less is more, basically, as a philosophy. It's the idea that what you don't use today, be available tomorrow, or somebody else will be able to use it. And the more that you don't use, the more that is left for, there to be for tomorrow. And part of living out here in this closed system I live in is that you understand that you have to spend an effort to do all the things that you want. And then you get to choose some of the things that you want to do that you really don't need. And you get to choose which ones those are. And you have to decide whether you're going to make it in the long term or in the short term. Because out here, if you eat all your chocolate up in December, in February, you're getting pretty jonesing for chocolate and you can't get it. So you kind of have to learn to, make sure you can get through the lean times. We live with less because we choose to. Voluntary simplicity. If you want to, if you're trying, if it's a goal, if it's part of the design of your world, your life, then it doesn't really, after a point, it's normalized. And you don't really have to succumb to temptation too much. The voluntary simplicity part of it is, if you want to do something, it's a lot easier than if you're made to do something, or if you have to do something. Both of those cases, either some entity makes you do something you don't want, or you just fall into the situation where you have no choices but to do this procedure without wanting to do it. I live in a closed system. It's just my wife and I. And we do over the things we have in our world ourselves. But we do everything that we do in our world ourselves. And that's literally. We live in a place that we don't have somebody that comes and does any of the jobs for us or delivers anything to the front door. Anything that comes to this beach here is our responsibility from after that. Carrying it, moving it, putting it together, repairing it, using it. So anyway, that makes my world a little bit different from your world. That's one of the first things. And some other details that might be interesting is that we've never had a refrigerator or freezer. We live off-grid, and we never put that energy demand on our reality. We've learned to live without it. We never have had a car since the 1990s, last century. So that's an automobile. I do have vehicles. They're boats. Today, my whole world, my wife's and my old world, is powered by 27 horsepower worth of power. My commercial fishing boat has a 10 horsepower Yamaha and a 5 horsepower Honda hydraulic power pack. And that's what I use for my work. It makes my yearly income. The home is powered by a Honda suitcase 2200 generator, eco switch mode most of the time. And the log splitter has a 5 horsepower Honda on it, and the chainsaw is about 3.5, 2.5 horsepower. But that's the total power usage of my place, and they're never all powered on at the same time. You know, our power for the day is less than 2 gallons. My power on the boat for the day is less than 8 gallons, 9 gallons for a long fishing day. So it's about learning what you really need in order to survive and have a nice life, have a rewarding, rich, vibrant. It's very peaceful here today. It was a pretty quiet morning. 2 days ago, the westerlies were blowing, everything was thrashing around, water was splashing on the beach. Things change, but it's all real. This is not AI. If this phone fell on the ground and broke, and you never saw a picture of me again, I'm still real. And that's one of the points we're trying to show people. Is there's a real world out here. It wasn't technology that kept me here. And it's not technology that's going to keep me here in the future. And that's a lesson everybody could probably learn real soon, because it will help you make decisions of what you're going to do in the future and what you really need to have in the future and what you really don't need to have in the future. And yeah, I lived in a city before. Yeah, I went to normal schools and was around normal people. But I live in the same sphere, floating around in space as everybody else, but I live different because I choose to. That's part of our experiment, to see if you really could do it as a modern human. And we were successful for 38 and a half years so far. Now, what some people would call success, now that's up to the observer, I guess. But we'll make our case that the way we live is doable. Because there's people that I've been told think this would be, the best way or a good way. All I can say is I've got to live in paradise for damn near 40 years. And I don't think I made the wrong choice. I'm talking about living a simpler life wherever you are in this world, not just about living in the Alaska wilderness. We're just using our story as an example. So join us as we create a community to explore a different way of living.